What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. In this video for the First Descendant today, we are looking at the unholy matrimony that exists between Ancient Knight, aka the AK-47, and Serena, which is the latest Descendant to be added to the game. This continues on with the trend of just her being absolutely disgusting with any weapon that you put in her hands. This is very much a bossing build. It's absolutely adaptable to be used in something like Void Erosion Purge, but this specifically murders every single boss in the game within seconds, whether you are playing it in solo or in groups. Even more so if other people are running it as well. It is just ridiculous what this does to difficult bosses in group content like Deathstalker. Well, I mean, difficult is relevant, right? Deathstalker hasn't been difficult for a very long time, but the point is, in content that forces you to play in a group like Deathstalker, this absolutely still just annihilates the boss. And the weirdest thing is, you can pretty much tune this up so that it's best against Tormentor, meaning like it does additional toxic damage, and then you pretty much use that blueprint for everything else. You don't ever change an element, you don't ever switch anything, you don't switch your inversion reinforcements, nada, nothing. You keep everything the same as I'm going to show you in the setup of this game, and you literally just cut a hole through any boss that the game currently can put up against you. So starting us out, we need to discuss Ancient Knight first. Or I'm just gonna say the AK from now on, because I mean, let's be honest, that is what it fucking is. This is an assault rifle. Assault rifles traditionally for me have not been in a great place in this game. I don't think this is an exceptionally good assault rifle. It's just that it's exceptionally good with Serena. So that's kind of like the thing. So its unique ability, kind of like it's made for her, right? So its unique ability essentially goes around the whole hover mechanic that she can do, float. But then Atonement, the secondary effect, is where the real damage, the ramp of the gun comes from. So first things first, when reloading in mid-air, it grants float. Now, float says your effective range drop of start and effective range drop of end. These are both increased by 130%. Then your HP recovery chance on hit is 10%. So there's a 10% chance that you actually recover some HP when you shoot this weapon. This is totally not necessary because shit dies within like split seconds to this gun, while shit being void intercept bosses, so it doesn't really matter. And then your health recovery amount is 2%. Whoop-de-doo. All right, however, when multi-hit triggers in mid-air, it grants Atonement. Now, Atonement is what we're really after, because this has stacks of 10 that you can grow, and then the multi-hit damage increases by plus 7.7, and then per stack an additional 7.7, so basically you can go to plus 77.7 essentially. So this is pretty much where the damage of the weapon comes from. Of course, it also benefits largely from the fact that Serena's fourth skill is broken, and that's kind of like what makes this work. For the same reasons that Malevolent works really well in Void Erosion Purge, is because of the massive boost that we get from the fourth ability of Serena, and the same is true for this weapon. So let's go ahead and build it quickly, and then what we can do is we can look at how Serena needs to be set up for this, and basically all the rest of the stuff. Alrighty, so we're not going to bother with crit or anything like that. We basically want to build as much raw damage as possible, and then we want to slap in the new multi mods which were added with the latest patch, and we also want to drop in some elemental damage as well as some weak point damage. So we're staying away from crit completely. It's something that we're completely ignoring with this build. We are absolutely just trying to push in as much multi-hit damage and just as much raw damage as possible. So what you're going to want to do is, as usual, you're going to throw in action and reaction, and you're going to put in rifling reinforcement. These two both give us additional firearm attack. There's a slight recoil penalty with action and reaction. Who cares? This is going to just push our raw damage up quite a bit. We also put in a fire rate mod because we do want some additional fire rate on this as well. This is just raw damage increase for us because more bullets downrange means shit dies faster. Then what we can do is we can put in something called charge amplification. Now, charge amplification actually tanks your critical hit damage, but that's okay because the point is we want to deal more raw damage, and this gives us the firearm attack plus 67%, which is yummy. Then we also add in something called Have Aiming. Have Aiming gives us a 40% increase to weak point damage, although again affects our accuracy ever so slightly. But this is a assault rifle, and you're basically just throwing a bunch of lead at the enemy, and obviously you are trying to hit weak points, and that's super easy with void intercept bosses. So that's the reason why this accuracy penalty doesn't necessarily bother us all that much. It's not like we're building this specifically for something like Void Erosion Purge, where I would not recommend Have Aiming. Then what we do is we focus on our element. Now, because we are configuring this for the hardest boss in the game right now, which is Tormentor, we are going to add in Toxic, because Toxic is what Tormentor is weak to. So we put in Toxic Enhancement and we put in Poison Priority. Both of these, first of all, Toxic Enhancement takes 30% of our firearm attack and makes it a toxic attack. And then our Poison Priority increases that toxic attack by 50%, but also, you know, kind of like tanks our reload time modifier a little bit. We are using this with Serena though, and Serena's like dodge ability, her third ability, reloads weapons that are in your hand. So you don't care about the reload penalty, because you can essentially just reload the gun by pressing that button, and you have a bunch of them available. And technically most shit dies before you empty your magazine, so it doesn't really matter. Then we, as you can see here, we have 3 mods left. For these ones, we are going to drop in some multi-mods. The first one that we're going to go for is something called multi-piercing sights. This guy over here. The multi-piercing sights, what it does is it murders our critical hit damage, which again, we said we don't care about that, but it gives us a nice fat multi-hit damage plus 70%, which is huge. Okay, next we are going to put in something called multi-percussion sight. This gives us multi-hit chance plus 30%, but also once again murders our critical hit damage. So again, you're never going to be critting with this weapon, but that's okay, because the multi-hit does the work for you. And last but not least, we can go for a golden mod called multi-hit induction. Multi-hit induction says on hitting weak points, your multi-hit chance goes up by 5.7% for 5 seconds, up to 10 stacks, and then you get some minus stacks if you actually fail to hit a weak point attack. In the grand scheme of things, it could be potentially possible that you could miss a couple of shots on smaller weak points on certain void intercept bosses, but then again, you literally need about like 10 to 15 of your bullets to hit to kill pretty much everything except Deathstalker and Tormentor, so it doesn't matter if you miss a bullet here or there. But that is the setup right there. Now, of course, at a later stage, when I mean, if the game, if Serena continues to absolutely destroy the way she does, and she's not nerfed, you know, I mean, they only concentrate on nerfing Innes, right? And if this weapon isn't touched, anything like that, then you can obviously use these 2 last slots as flex slots, and you can essentially develop the weapon further for other elemental types as well. I literally only went for Toxic, and all of the footage that you've been seeing is me just absolutely killing stuff with Toxic. What's even worse is the natural element of Ancient Knight is actually fire. so there's that. But yeah, the point is you could develop it, you could develop it further, and you could actually, you know, eventually slot in all the elements if that's something that, you know, is probably useful for us down the line against other, you know, elemental strong, you know, bosses that we might potentially have to fight. I don't know, maybe in season 3 or whatever, something like that. So next thing we need to talk about is the set. Well, let's actually finish up with the weapon. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead here. We need to talk about substats, and we need to talk about weapon cores. So first things for substats, I went for firearm attack and rounds per magazine. We don't put rounds anywhere else on the weapon, so this just gives us a couple of more bullets in the actual magazine of the weapon. I went for bonus firearm attack versus Colossus, which is good for us. This is a Colossus killing build and setup, so that's kind of like a no-brainer for us. And then I did go for an element. I wasn't able to roll gold toxic attack, but purple is just fine, and as you can see, we haven't been struggling to kill anything with it, so it's all good. Then when it comes to weapon cores, what you want to do is you want to go double element cores. All right, so you want to go toxic in your free core, and then you want to go toxic in your elemental core as well. Down the line, if we are presented with bosses that have other elemental weaknesses and that are tough and that we want to use this against, we would potentially have to reroll this. But the point is, for now, this weapon is perfectly suited to kill every single void intercept boss in the game, including Deathstalker, including the Abyss boss, everything like that. Obviously, on your firearm rolls, you roll firearm attack on both of these. You can see I don't have perfect rolls on these, but still good. And then I got really lucky on my fire rate roll, and I rolled a 20%, but that also helps a massive amount for your burst damage. So that is your weapon core setup for us, as well as your substats. Then when it comes to the Descendants, of course we use Serena for this. This build is meant for AK-47 and Serena together. Now, Samuel L. Jackson was absolutely right, and that is that if you absolutely positively have to kill every motherfucker in the room except no substitute, and of course he was referring to the AK-47, so this is the standard setup that you can use for this. So those of you that have a keen eye will notice that this is pretty much my purge setup. So it's basically the same thing. If you've built Serena for running Void Erosion Purge with something like Malevolent, then you already have your build configured for this. You're just putting in the AK-47 instead. So basically what this does is it kind of like boosts up her redemption skill as much as possible. So redemption is where all this damage is coming from. More specifically, redemption's judgment, which is the effect that happens when you cast this fourth ability in the air. So that's why you'll see me in the footage jump up and then activate and then go. When you cast it in the air, you get a damage multiplier that's your max HP times 0.8%. That is where 99% of the damage of this build comes from. This is why you ramp so fucking hard once you enable this skill. We have a fairly decent duration on this of like 17.7 seconds, which is more than enough time to kill pretty much any boss in the game. Again, if other people are running this with you in group content, you will kill the shit in like 5-6 seconds, so it doesn't matter. It does have a super long cooldown though, like 86.1 seconds is the cooldown. So with the current setup that we have here, and we'll talk about the mods just now, so if you do kind of like run out of juice and you burn the entire 17.7 seconds, you don't kill the boss, they just, you know, kill yourself, and then you have the ability back again and you can just, you know, try again. So pretty much what you're trying to do here, and again, like I mentioned, if you're trying to reload fast, use Soar. That's a third ability. If you use this, then it reloads whichever weapon is in your fucking hands. So you don't have to worry about actually manually reloading, just like strafe to the side with this or up in the air or whatever. And Bob's your uncle. Also with this build, and we're going to look at this when we talk about the other things like the Inversion Reinforcement, it absolutely makes sense for you to be in the air when you use this. So that's why you'll notice that most of my gunfighting I'm doing from the air. It's not that it's impossible from the ground, but you'll see a massive damage ramp as well as long as you're doing this in the air due to the Inversion Reinforcement. So when it comes to the mods itself, essentially what we're trying to do here is we're trying to stack as much shield and health as possible. We use Overwhelming Shield, which says that whenever then our max shield is fixed at 1, but any additional max HP and max shield that we get will boost our HP drastically. All right, so that's why we have something like increased shield on here, we have stim accelerant on here, we have increased HP on here. Then the other things that we put on here are for us to lower our cooldowns, and also for us to essentially just, you know, where we can steal some more additional stats. So quickly running through it, weighing the scales gives us max shield, which is good, but also reduces our skill cost by a little bit. That's nice. Amplification control increases our range, which does basically nothing for us, but the max shield increase here is yum yum. Shot focus is more firearm attack damage for us. It kills our skill power modifier a little bit, but that doesn't matter. This is not a skill-based build. And skill extension gives us the skill duration increase here, which is why we have that fourth ability available for so long. Time distribution gives us skill cooldown a little bit, but we're actually taking this because we want the max HP plus 52.4%. And last but not least, I take energy collection. This is really, this slot here is a super flex slot. You can put anything in here. I put energy collection in here just to help me with MP recovery for, you know, flying around and being like a fucking angel of death. So again, you could put anything else in here, anything that you feel might help you in, you know, whichever fight that you're trying to do. But this is the setup for her. Again, like I said, if you've been using Serena in Void Erosion Purge, your build probably looks a lot like this. So now with that in place, our reactor doesn't necessarily really matter. Your substats on there can actually, you know, make a bit of a difference, but in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't really matter. Skill cost and skill cooldown is good for us on here. Skill duration is also okay, but both of these essentially just help us to be able to afford flying more and to be able to, you know, basically get our skills back quicker. This also helps with the reloading skill Soar to come back faster. In terms of our external components, right, we want as many HP rolls as possible. So you can see I have a little bit of like a mixed bag roll here. I have one piece of just generic gold. I have one piece of frozen heart. I have one piece of annihilation memory, and I have one piece of distorted resolve processor. The main point is you want all 4 of your pieces, the intrinsic value that rolls on the external component, you want that to be max HP. So you can see here, max HP 6, and you want it to be a 646 roll. So max HP 646, max HP 646, max HP 646, and oh my god, you guessed it, max HP 646. Then also on your cigar, on your auxiliary power, you want another max HP roll. Something above like 800 would be sexy. And then you also want a max shield roll, again something above like 250 is super hot on your processor. Once you have that, you have all of the survivability required to boost your damage insanely. And you can see that my health here is 38,235. So basically we're getting a portion of that as additional damage, and that's why you try to stack as much HP as possible. The rest of the substats on here are nice to have. MP recovery in combat and max MP are good. Always on a sensor. You should always try to have those two stats on a sensor. And then, I mean, the rest of the stuff, you can put defense, you know, resistances, whatever, it doesn't matter. Maybe you could put like another like MP recovery, you know, substat on here, it doesn't matter. But the bottom line is make sure you have 5 max HP rolls. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another one on the substat. And you have the shield roll, and then, like I said, MP recovery in combat, max MP is good as well. But that's an external component setup. All of that together gives you a massive HP pool, which also makes you quite tanky, and it also means that you will actually just slam the boss when it's go time. Okay, 2 more things that we have to look at. Arc tuning board is next. This is also where we can affect our damage drastically. So first things first, we want to take a straight shot down all the way to enhanced max HP. This max HP 55% roll here is also juicing up our HP by a lot. So this little path that you run here, the fire resistance and the HP recovery modifier is dog shit, but you just want to go to this as fast as possible. And this is the most direct route that benefits you the most in terms of the stuff that you get. Next, you'll shoot this way, picking up some weak point damage nodes. You'll go up this way, picking up some hip fire and aimed shot accuracy. This actually basically negates all of the accuracy loss that we get from our modules. So let's go, baby. And then you go all the way around here and you pick up enhanced multi-hit, which is going to give us multi-hit chance as well as multi-hit damage. All of these other nodes pretty much give us some multi-hit chance as well. This gives us some additional firearm damage. And then we pick up multi-hit damage, this big one in the middle here. This uses up all 40 of our points and gives us, at least in my impression, the best, you know, bang for a buck in terms of picking up as much HP as well as picking up so much additional damage for our actual weapon. Last but certainly not least, our inversion reinforcement. There are some critical choices that you can make here that can also make your damage quite sexy. First of all, aerial maneuvering radar is insane because when airborne for at least 2 seconds, it grants you this effect. This effect says multi-hit chance plus 18%. And so therefore, you have as much multi-hit chance as possible while you're in the air, which is why I said it's a good idea for you to fly around. Biodensity augmentation is good for us because this says when you defeat an enemy, you get max HP plus 11.7%. Now, the point is, yes, this doesn't make any sense because you are absolutely just shooting one target, which is the void intercept boss. But let's imagine a situation where in a group you are fighting and some of the ads spawn, then you can kill those ads, which is going to drastically increase your max HP, which means then your fourth ability will hit even harder. So think about longer fights like Deathstalker, or I don't know, God knows if you are struggling with any of the other void intercept bosses in groups. I don't imagine why you would, but yes, then this can actually help you. This is just more like a like cream on top of cream on top of cream. This is not necessary at all. And then of course matching your rounds also, you know, gives us additional damage here. So again, like I said, I matched it for Tormentor. Tormentor is weak to toxic, and then I just use that to murder everything else. But that's it. This setup here is pretty much what I use. I do also just want to flash the total stats here quickly then. So then with the weapon in your hand, you can see that of course our firearm critical hit rate and critical hit damage are completely stunk. But we have a multi-hit chance of 36.3%. Of course, this is without us being in the air, so this increases by a lot once we're in the air. And then of course our multi-hit damage is at 0.993 times. And this also ramps up, of course, because of the unique ability of AK-47 Ancient Knight when you use it. That's it. That's pretty much the entire setup. I said this like with, I think this is my third build for Serena, and every time I've done this I was like, dude, what is the next most degenerate stuff that you can do with this Descendant? And I guess this is it. So I don't know what else there is to do with her. She pretty much does everything in the game right now. She does Void Erosion Purge level 30 so easy with Malevolent, and she also now kills every single boss in the game within seconds, whether you're using the AK-47 or whether you're using ATAMS, the sniper, which is also another build that I have on the channel. But that's it for the video. As I said, I appreciate all the support. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything that I somehow skipped or didn't cover. It's possible. Shit happens all the time. But other than that, fucking cheers.